So guys, Uncle Eddie has confirmed all of our worst nightmares, that there will be a rematch clause for the Anthony Joshua Oleksandr Usyk fight, currently scheduled for September the 18th or September the 25th. Now, the rematch clause was the one thing in the negotiations that I suspected was actually holding up this fight from being announced. But according to Hearn in this interview that Boxing Social picked up earlier this week, it was one of the first things that was agreed between Team Joshua and Alex Krasak with Team Usyk. So the rematch clause was never actually an issue. Now, obviously, I've said all along, and I will remain consistent, that I do not like rematch clauses in mandatory defences. Got nothing wrong with them for voluntary defences. Obviously, I get it. It's a good business strategy as far as having an insurance policy in place for your champion. And as far as the challenge is concerned, if Oleksandr Usyk was to lose, it will allow him a comeback fight with a different opponent under the Matchroom umbrella. Now, I'm sure there might be a few of you out there thinking, well hold up. Why is there even a rematch clause allowed as it's a mandatory defence? Well, essentially, because the fight didn't go to purse bids, Team Joshua and Team Usyk still have the right to negotiate between themselves to set their own contract terms. Essentially, it's not in the WBO's jurisdiction to get involved. As long as they have the fight agreed and they know when it's going to take place, that's all the WBO care about. And I get it from their point of view. They just want to know that Joshua is going to defend against Usyk. Otherwise, the WBO need to make other plans. So yeah, it's not for them to get involved. As long as the two parties can both agree on terms, then they're good to go. I expect this fight to be announced very, very soon. Of course, I'll obviously keep you guys updated as and when the news comes in. I am disappointed, obviously, because, you know, fighters getting caught up in rematch clauses, it can get very, very messy. And I think it can make the division very stale, because essentially we're going to be seeing recycled fights rather than new fights after the person wins, or let's say the champion loses. But look, it is what it is. We are where we are. I'd rather the fight take place than not take place. So got to be thankful for that at least. It does kind of remind me of previous situations we've had in the past with the whole Anthony Joshua, Dillian Whyte situation at the start of 2019, where the negotiations essentially fell through because Dillian Whyte didn't like the rematch clause and the split that he was going to get in it. Now, at the time, I was baffled by Whyte's decision, because from my point of view, Dillian Whyte wasn't getting a shot at the WBC. The only way I saw him, and still see him, fighting for a world title is via a voluntary from one of the champions. So at the time I was like, look, just take the first Anthony Joshua fight, beat Joshua the way Andy Ruiz did, fight him again in 6 months, and even if you lose, you're going to make a huge amount of money and you would have been world champion. So I still saw it as a win-win. And it also had me thinking as well, if we take or cast our minds further back to the whole situation between Klitschko and Fury. Now, the rematch clauses with the Klitschko brothers were notorious back when Klitschko was reigning champion for 10 years. So, and you can look this up on Google as well for anyone who's interested. Appreciate you might not be as interested in me in these sort of things, which is absolutely cool. But Tyson Fury only got the first fight with Klitschko because he agreed to a rematch clause, even though he was the mandatory. And the way that the rematch clause worked with the Vladimir Klitschko fight was that if Fury beat him the first time, he then had to have his rematch with him in Germany. And if he was to beat Klitschko for the second time, he would have to fight his brother, Vitaly, which I think is absolutely madness. But it just goes to show, guys, that these rematch clauses, they've been about for years. It's not just old Eddie Hearn that likes to stick a rematch clause in there. This has been going on for decades in boxing, guys. And I think it's here to stay. But look, obviously, what do you guys think? Your opinion is most important. Please leave some comments and we can start a discussion on whether you're happy that the fight is just going to happen. And I expect the announcement to be happening anytime this week, hopefully, guys. Are you pleased the fight's happening? Like I said, what do you think about the rematch clause? How do you see the fight going? And most importantly, who wins on both fights? Let me know in the comments. Cheers, guys.